Welcome to Dateline Health. This is Fred Lippman coming to you from Nova Southeastern University. And today we have a show which is a return engagement from our Broward County Humane Society. And even though I have human being guests here, I'm going to introduce our stars. And before N.W. Smith, who is a volunteer for the Humane Society of Broward, lying down here on the floor, is Gracie, our wonderful, wonderful pet therapy dog, who works primarily at our Coral Springs Hospital, at part of the North Broward Hospital District of Broward Health, in the pediatric area. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
N.W. Smith, and a wonderful volunteer. There isn't anything better in society, folks, than having volunteer people, people who love other people and are kind to each other, and that's part of the game. That's part of Wags and Tails, right?
It is.
It is. And who is the Animal Assisted Therapy Program Director for our Broward County Humane Society? That is Marnie Balavia. Marnie, how are you?
How are you?
Good to
I'm
see you
good.
again.
Thank you for having us
and
back.
our wonderful Oliver. Oliver is sitting here. What a wonderful therapy dog Oliver is. Oliver is a Shih Tzu, who is a relative of my dog CJ, who is a Lhasa Apso, coming from the same gene pool. And of course, this wonderful dog, I understand, is
A golden retriever.
a golden retriever who is getting a little blonder.
Yes, well, in the summertime, because of all her swimming,
Well,
she
I
gets
wish I
lighter.
could say that about me, but my hair is white. I used to be a golden retriever color too. Anyway, welcome to both of you. Marnie, if I might, tell us about the program at the Humane Society, about therapy dogs and what this is all about.
Our Animal Assisted Therapy Program at the Humane Society of Broward County is a program where volunteers, utilizing their companion animals, go to different facilities to provide unconditional love and affection, help children to learn how to read better, help people that have varying different illnesses, people maybe that need physical therapy. The dogs are used as motivators. We have a very large program, about almost 90 volunteers, over 120 something dogs, 2 cats and 1 bird in our program.
Really?
Our first bird, yes. Oliver's a little hot under the lights.
Okay, we'll get her calmed down. And Ms. Smith, how did you get to the program?
Well, it was something that I've always wanted to do before I had a dog. And I knew when I was going to get Gracie that it was a program that I wanted to be involved in. And I've heard of Marnie's work.
And how old is Gracie?
Gracie's 6.5.
Right.
She's been a therapy dog since she was a year old when she was certified.
Right. And tell us about Gracie's and your day at the pediatric area in Coral Springs Hospital. What is it? What goes on?
Well, it's always different depending on who's there and what their needs are. We go sometimes into the room. Sometimes the children cannot leave the bed, and Gracie will come. Occasionally, we'll put down a sheet on the bed, and she'll join them on the bed. Other times, she might do tricks. She might get some treats for the tricks. And although she'll come up to the bed and rest her head near it so they can pet her.
Okay, well, she's a wonderful dog, and I know the children must just be very excited when she walks in, I would assume.
Yes, they are, and we have received sometimes drawings that the children have made for her.
And of course, you know, we as viewers and listeners, and we understand that the importance of what these wonderful animals provide for the people who are really sometimes very, very ill. Mm-hmm. In fact, some people are near death in many occasions, and that these children, they're my children, but these wonderful animals act as humane opportunities they give to the patient an opportunity to know that someone really is almost giving them God-given therapy. That's the way I view it. How's that, Marnie? Does that sound pretty good?
That's pretty much perfect, yes.
Let me ask you about something which really characterized one of the last show we did over 2.5 years ago, and that was your discussion about the reading program that's part of the Wags and Tails program. Even though it's not directly a therapy, I believe it to be a wonderful therapy for children. And explain what happens when these dogs and cats are involved in the reading program.
Okay, I'd love to. Our Wags and Tails reading program is currently in almost every library in Broward County. We're in 25 branches, and we're in several schools of Broward County as well. And what the idea behind the program is that children that are having reading difficulties, they may be reading not on their grade level, they may stutter, they may have any type of, they could have dyslexia, they could have any type of problem, but they're having difficulties reading. So the premise of this program is to encourage children to read out loud in a non-judgmental format where learning can be facilitated, reading can take place, and the kids can have fun doing it. And by using the dog as the motivator in that program, it breaks down the apprehension that the children have to read, because they're already struggling. So to stand up in front of their peers or to read out loud in a classroom when they're already struggling is very intimidating. To sit on the floor with a dog like Gracie or a dog like Oliver with a volunteer that's attached to that leash, it's not a judging situation. It's a very relaxed environment, and the children are excelling in the program. We've gotten reports from the schools that FCAT marks have gone up. The libraries, the parents are telling us that the kids are going home and they're reading to their pet at home. They read to stuffed animals. So the progress that they're making is that they're encouraged to read, and they're reading in off-school hours as well. So from the literacy aspect, they're really gaining a lot of self-confidence through the program.
One of the things that really fascinated me, and I think it certainly fascinated our viewers, is that often, as you stated, if I remember correctly, that there are children that either are I guess, viewed by other children as being different. They may have a physical handicap, or they may be wearing ultra-thick glasses, or whatever it is, and that they're sort of, and I don't mean to be mean about it, but they're shunned, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And you spoke about the opportunities that the dogs give to these individuals, because all of a sudden, all of those views of individuals being different disappear. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, because animals don't judge you. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what you're wearing. They don't care if you have glasses or braces or stutter, or you're in the 5th grade but you're reading at a 3rd grade level. They're non-judgmental. So just by that very factor, it is helping with the children to relax and to actually want to learn, because they don't have the peer pressure. They don't have to worry about, well, what are my peers thinking, and now I have to worry about learning at the same time. They don't have to worry about that.
But the other thing that fascinated me was in viewing the activities of the dogs in these reading programs, I noticed that the children also forget. They become non-judgmental,
yeah.
Which I think is very important, folks, because the children no longer pick on someone, and it's unfortunate, but it's part of the human condition. Sometimes someone looks a little different or otherwise, and you say, well, look at that, look at wearing those big glasses or whatever, or you're wearing those hearing aids, and etc. But these dogs help the recipient of the dog's attention to mitigate all of that problem in front of all of their peers. Mm-hmm.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, it does help the child to overcome a lot of the issues that they have in their confidence. It's true that children can be mean to one another, but most of these children, they're self-conscious just from themselves. They, kids usually don't want to wear glasses, and they're embarrassed if they have braces or if they stutter or have a speech impediment. And that's the purpose of the dog. So it's exactly as you say, it helps to build their confidence, and they forget at that moment in time when they're sitting down with that animal and having that session that they do have the big rimmed glasses on, or they are stuttering, or they do wear the braces, or they have a physical disability. They feel empowered.
That's wonderful. So, N.W. Smith, volunteer.
Yes.
Superior opportunity to me to ask you, how did you get involved? I mean, you said you knew that you were going to immediately upon receiving wonderful Gracie as a rescued animal or as an accepted animal, that you wanted to get into this. Why did you want to get into it? And tell me about some of your co-volunteers.
Well, it's always good to give back, and we all should.
Yeah.
And having a dog with so much love, as all our pets are, it's nice to share it.
Right.
And when I first started in the program, I was working at Broward Hospital,
Right.
in their rehab unit. And I really wanted to work with children. And Marnie gave me some opportunities to work in facilities that have children.
Right. And then you went through a training period?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it, because
Okay.
we want to try to entice some of our viewers to listen to your story so that they might want to be volunteers, because that's a very important issue. So tell me about it.
Okay, well, I did grow up with dogs and thought I knew a lot about training dogs. And it wasn't until I met Marnie and went through her program that I learned that I needed to learn a lot. So Gracie and I learned together. When she was 10 weeks old, we started the program. We went through all of the different steps that one goes through. She needed to learn not only verbal signals, but she needed to learn all her hand signals. She needed to be very obedient in a lot of different areas. And Marnie taught me and taught Gracie how to learn. And we both learned together. And she did a great job. It was a great program.
And all this wonderful animal has to do now is just give her love and attention to all the people who need her love and attention, correct?
Right. We just share her love and all the fun. And she always has a big smile on her face.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it helps people smile.
She's got a real big smile.
It's contagious.
Yes, she does. So, Marnie, tell us, if I wanted to be a volunteer in your program, what do I do?
If you want to be a volunteer and you have a companion animal in our program, what you would do is you would call our Humane Society at 954-266-6814. That's our volunteer services department, and they would take your information and set you up for orientation. One of the things that's very important to point out, as NW had mentioned, is if you are coming into a therapy program, your dog will have to be trained. So part of the commitment that you're making is not only to attend the orientations and the classes, but also to make sure that the dog is trained in all the various areas that we need it to be trained in. So from a basic obedience perspective, we need the dog to sit when we ask it to, lay down and maintain a stay position, come when called, walk nicely on a leash. Those are all very important because, as you can imagine, you can't take a dog into a different facility. Gracie works in hospitals. If Gracie did not obey commands, she would, I love her and she's a retriever, but retrievers are a little bit on the hyper side, and she could be a little bit boisterous, which would not be good for that type of a program. So we need to have a dog that is reliable with their commands, as well as possessing the right temperament. Temperament is extremely important because you can have a dog that's friendly, that will walk up to you, that you can interact with, that you can give a pat on the head, but a therapy dog needs to engage you. A therapy dog really needs to be more interested in people other than their handler and their owner. They should solicit attention from strangers. They should want to be with strangers. And that's a big difference between your average companion dog and the working dog. So when people are looking into this program, part of what I really want to stress is they need to have the commitment to want to go through the training process with them. Mm-hmm. Different programs that we have require different levels of training. Gracie went through an extensive amount of training because she was going to work in a hospital and in our reading program. But depending on the program, we do everything from a basic class all the way through to advanced training.
And if I, just as a question, as these people are observing these wonderful animals here, if I were a person who wanted to hook up with the Humane Society, and I wanted to rescue a dog, and I wanted to be a volunteer, I guess that's a twofer, isn't it?
That would be great. Yes, that's that's actually Oliver. I adopted Oliver from the Humane Society, and he was about a little bit over a year old. And I said, boy, he would make a great therapy dog, and he's been doing it now for almost 13 years. But that would be excellent. One of the things, we have a lot of really knowledgeable, all of our staff is very, very knowledgeable there at the shelter. So if you did come down and you were looking for that particular pet that you knew you wanted to at some point do therapy work with, certainly there are plenty of staff members that could help you, guide you in the right direction as to what animals we have that might be good candidates.
Well, that's very important because, you know, again, I'm thinking back to the show that we did over 2.5 years ago when Oliver probably had a little facelift, but that's okay. And I can tell you that, by the way, Oliver is 12 years old.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful,
He is.
wonderful animal. We had folks that asked us, well, you know, I don't have a dog, but I'd love to be able to volunteer. How can I volunteer? Do I assume that you also have people that would volunteer for the program that could be, you know, part of the program to help you do a lot of different things, including learning how to train or be a trainer or be involved with teams? Do you create teams?
We do. We actually have over 600 volunteers at the Humane Society that work in all different aspects of our shelter. Everything from working in our therapy program to doing adoptions, working in our pet boutique, foster care. So we always need volunteers. And for somebody that maybe doesn't have a pet or hasn't found the right pet yet, there are plenty of volunteer opportunities within our shelter. We could not survive without our volunteers. They are the heartbeat of the Humane Society.
Oh, that I know. That I know. Folks, I don't know whether you realize, but you know, of course, there are wonderful shelters and humane societies all over the United States. But I will say, without any question, and I know we have viewers in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, but the Broward County Humane Society shelter on Griffin Road, right near the railroad tracks, is something that you really have to get to see and offer some time. Even, I'm not asking you to be a tourist and just go by just for the sake of going to see it, but it's not a bad idea because I will tell you it's an infectious opportunity for you, literally infectious to your heart, to know that there are animals there that need your viewing and your help. You know, now there's a wonderful campaign, and it's a heartbreaking campaign that is being done on television by the National Humane Society and also ASPCA, I guess, that is asking people to rescue animals. You don't have to go very far, but to go to your Humane Society shelters in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. But I can tell you, being here in the Fort Lauderdale area, and being a volunteer myself for the Humane Society, it is something which is worthwhile, and it nourishes your soul. I promise you, it nourishes your soul. Am I hitting it, N.W. Smith?
Absolutely.
I mean, does that how you feel about it? I mean, when you see Gracie doing her work in the pediatric area or the pediatric section of Coral Springs Hospital, how do you feel about it?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's not only the children that she brings so much love to, but it's also the staff and the parents that are visiting or staying with the children.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Gracie certainly came in here early before the show, and she visited with all of our production staff, our camera people, the people next door at you know, OIT. I mean, she was all over the place, and she was just saying hi. That's all. Hello, how are you? My name is Gracie. Is that what she was saying?
And that goes back to exactly what I was saying. That's the therapy dog temperament.
Yeah.
It's not the unsure dog that's glued to their handler. It's the dog that goes out there and says, hey, I'm here. Come say hello to me. I want to be with you. It's that dog.
Marty, I don't need to get into the cold, hard facts about this, but let me ask you about this because I know the value of therapy dogs in situations where there is extreme morbidity and crisis. because I remember in the last show, the individual who was here with, if I'm not mistaken, it was a lab, a golden lab. And that individual was primarily visiting North Broward Hospital as well as Coral Springs Hospital, but North Broward Hospital, and they were dealing with cancer therapy and with some severe trauma issues. So talk to us a bit about that, and you know, how these wonderful animals bring this feeling of not necessarily swallowing a pill or taking an injection, but what do they really do?
You know, it's pretty amazing. We get a lot of calls from agencies where people are terminally ill, and their last request is to be with an animal. And it's one of those, you know, for me it's very emotional. So when I take Oliver, and I know my volunteers, when they go out into that type of situation and they are meeting with somebody who's at the end stage of their life, and their dog is able to bring comfort to them and to their family and to the social workers that are there, because it's not just the one person that you're dealing with. It really helps to bring people peace and serenity at a time that's so unfair and hard and heartbreaking. And you know, it's one of those things that, as you say, you know, the pill isn't going to give it to you. But animals bring that joy and that unconditional love and acceptance that in any level or at any stage of your life, they're usually the best thing that you can have next to you. So we do get a lot of calls for that. And you know, one of the other things that I find to be remarkable is how, especially in our pediatrics area, when dogs like Gracie go to visit children in the hospital, they could be kids that have just come in because they had the flu, or they could be terminally ill kids as well. And those children are going through chemotherapy, which is not a picnic for anybody. And their kids are 5, they're 4, they're 3 months old, they're 10 years old. They know they're not going to live. You know, they know that they could have, you know, a terminal disease. Some of them are going to be able to go into remission and some of them aren't. And they see that dog come in while they're having a chemotherapy treatment. And for that 15 or 20 minutes or half hour that they're there, they're normal kids. The treatment is happening, but they're throwing the ball and she's retrieving it and bringing it back. And the dog is on the lap and they're loving it and kissing it, and they're normal kids for that period of time. And they're not really realizing how sick they are.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're down to the last 4 minutes of the show, and it's time for me to get a little therapy.
So you want my dog?
I mean, it's up to Oliver, but it's
Oliver would love to come and sit with you.
Come, Oliver. I know my executive producer is going to get crazy because you're getting up. But come here, little boy. Come on. That's it. Okay. That's it. You see? Say hi. Say hi to Uncle Al. You see, my doctor is a dog lover, and unfortunately he can't have a dog. So we're going to let him have this dog today just for a little while. Say hi, Uncle Al. Okay. Anyway, Marnie, let's tell the folks once again. Firstly, obviously, you know, we want you to support humane societies wherever they are, but these dogs are affiliated with the Humane Society of Broward County, so there are many opportunities for you to participate, not only as volunteers, but also to write a check. It's nothing wrong. I know you can't ask for it, but you know, I'm sitting in a moderator's chair, so I can ask for it. You know, it doesn't take much. You want to save an animal, you want a beautiful animal, you want these animals to be able to provide love and affection, not only to me, but to all the children and all the folks out there that are not in good health. So let's support the Wags and Tails program, right?
Absolutely.
Which is the reading program, which is a magnificent program. I think of your grandchild or your niece or nephew or otherwise that is just a little, you know, reticent to read in front of the class, and these dogs go to work, and before you know it, they become voracious readers. I've seen it happen. And of course, if you want to volunteer, you want to be a volunteer, how do we get them to be volunteers? The same
yes,
number?
Yes, please, we need you.
What's that number?
The number is 954
Right.
266
Right.
6814, and that's
Right.
to our Volunteer Services Department
Right.
for the Broward County Humane Society.
Right.
And I just wanted to make mention of one thing, that our shelter is not affiliated with any other humane society. We're an independent, standalone nonprofit, and we don't receive any government, state, or federal funding. It's all private sector.
I'm aware
So
of that.
donations are always welcome.
No, I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. I am a proud member of the Diamond Collar Society, and I do it only because of my love for all the work that you all do. It's folks like myself who are dog lovers. All we do is we look to people like yourselves who give of yourselves, N.W. Smith and all your fellow volunteers, and you, Marnie, for all the hard work that gives back to the community 55 times over, maybe 155 times over. Anyway, just one more question I'm going to ask you folks. If you're interested, pick up the phone. If you love these animals, as certainly I do, and you can see where my weakness is. This is it. It's animals. If you have the opportunity, try to help out with particularly the Broward County Humane Society, but any of the humane societies around the United States or ASPCA or whatever. It's just these wonderful, wonderful animals who I'm sorry, little girl. I'm sorry. Anyway, remember, this is, I wanted to bring you this show because once in a while we want to talk about the health of the community rather than just the issues of morbidity and how you should take care of yourselves. But this is great. You've taken care of yourself. I'm certainly taking care of myself by having Marnie on my, Marnie, I apologize, Oliver. Marnie, you're not sitting on my lap. Oliver is sitting on my lap. But what I'm saying is that it's very important for you to pay attention, and hopefully you can offer some help for all these wonderful animals and these wonderful people like N.W. Smith. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being a volunteer. And Marnie, what can I say? You're the best. You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And she's the manager of the Animal Assisted Therapy Program at the Humane Society of Broward County. And folks, I hope that this gave you a little warm feeling in your heart and your soul, because it certainly did for me. So we thank you for tuning in. And remember, if you have any questions about this section of the show or this show, just ring us up, get us on the net, and I can promise you we'll give you the answers. And remember, this is Dateline Health. We come to you from Nova Southeastern University, and it's your show. So if you have any other topics you want to talk about, just let us know. This is Fred Lipman. Until next time, see ya.